Your friend wanted something fast, something aggressive, something people would actually notice. He spent months researching Mustangs, BMWs, maybe even a Supra. And then one day, he pulled up in a Mazda Miata. And the crazy part? He's not the only one. It's everywhere. Car meets, YouTube builds, TikTok parking lots, the same tiny convertible showing up again and again among the people who care most about cars. So I started asking a real question. What's actually going on here? Because this isn't random. There's a pattern. And once you see it, it changes how you think about cars entirely. Stay with me, because the answer goes a lot deeper than you'd expect. Nobody plans to buy a Miata. That's never the dream. The dream is loud, fast, aggressive, something that looks good when you park it. But here's what actually happens when you're a car enthusiast in your 20s in 2026. Car prices are still historically high, interest rates are punishing, and the moment an insurance company sees your age, they start doing math that doesn't work in your favor. So the dream car gets pushed back, and you start asking different questions. Not what's the fastest, but what can I actually afford, actually drive, and actually keep alive? And that's when the Miata quietly walks through the door. Here's something most car content won't tell you. The Miata might be the last affordable sports car that hasn't been ruined. Used NA, NB, and NC models are still attainable. They're simple, the parts are cheap, the community is enormous. And in a world where modern cars are getting more computerized, more expensive, and harder to work on, the Miata is going the opposite direction. It doesn't try to be complicated, and that's not a weakness, that's the entire point. But here's where it gets interesting, because the money side is only half the story. Something changed in car culture, and most people didn't notice it happening. For years, the goal was simple: more power, bigger numbers, faster times. But then modern cars got too fast, too assisted, too easy. You can buy a car today that hits 60 in under 4 seconds without even thinking about it. And somehow, that got boring. Because here's the thing about mastery. The harder something is to earn, the more it means. And the Miata understood that before anyone was saying it out loud. Most Miatas aren't breaking 200 horsepower, but they force you to actually drive. Rear-wheel drive, lightweight chassis, manual gearbox, zero shortcuts. If you want to go fast in a Miata, you have to earn every single corner. There's a phrase that gets thrown around in car culture. It's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. The Miata isn't just proof of that idea, it's the reason that idea exists. Now, here's where it really gets interesting. Because once someone buys a Miata, they rarely leave it stock. The aftermarket is decades deep. Suspension, turbo kits, superchargers, wide-body builds, drift setups, track builds, whatever direction you want to go, there's already a community that's been there, documented everything, and is waiting to help. And because you're not working on a $60,000 car, you can actually experiment, you can make mistakes, you can learn. For a lot of people, the Miata isn't just a car, it's their first real education in what it means to build something. And that creates a very specific kind of attachment, one that's hard to explain until you felt it. But the Miata didn't become a phenomenon on its own. The internet accelerated it. Forums, YouTube build series, TikTok clips, drift edits, memes. The Miata became a language in online car culture. And once something becomes shareable, it spreads fast, especially to younger audiences who are still figuring out what kind of car person they are. Suddenly, owning a Miata isn't just a purchase, it's a signal. It says something about how you think about driving. Now, let's address the thing nobody wants to say out loud. The Miata has a reputation. People call it slow, they call it small. Some people will even question your taste for driving one. And the uncomfortable truth, almost all of those people have never actually driven one. Because the second you get behind the wheel, that entire narrative collapses. There's something almost universal about the experience. Almost everyone who drives a Miata smiles, not because it's fast, not because it's impressive, but because it makes driving feel like driving again. Not a commute, not a transaction, just the road, the car, and you. And in 2026, that feeling is becoming genuinely rare. Here's the thing worth saying out loud.
Manual transmissions are disappearing. Cars are getting heavier, more automated, more disconnected from the driver. And with EVs reshaping the whole industry, the tactile experience of driving is quietly fading, which makes cars like the Miata more valuable, not less, because they represent something analog in a world going increasingly digital, something that requires you, something that responds to you. For a lot of younger enthusiasts, that's not a compromise. That's exactly what they're looking for. But if I'm being honest, the real reason people end up in a Miata goes beyond specs, beyond budget, beyond all of it. It's about identity. Every generation has a car that represents them, something accessible, something personal, something that pulls you into a culture and changes how you see everything else. For a huge portion of millennials and Gen Z, the Miata is that car. It's where a lot of people learn to drive stick for the first time, where they do their first build, where they actually figure out what they love about cars, not what they thought they were supposed to love. And almost nobody regrets it. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Are you someone who buys what looks impressive or what actually feels like something? Drop it in the comments, because on this channel, Psyche Archive, that's exactly the kind of question we live in. If this made you think differently about cars, about psychology, about why people make the choices they do, subscribe, because we're just getting started.